Okay.
All right. I always get paranoid about this because I'm like, all right, Audacity is recording. My camera's recording. Everything's good. Am I good? We're good.
I know. Well, I don't think... I think this is a situation where being paranoid about it is good.
No, I mean, it happened to me once at the AV Club where I recorded an entire podcast. Back when recording a podcast in 2008 was like, what are you even doing? And like we recorded the whole episode and it was my fault. I fucked something up and we were not recording the audio.
Oh.
It was an hour. It was over an hour and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, that episode we recorded 2 days ago, we didn't.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I've only lost 2 episodes where we were like, I've never forgot to hit record, but somehow the file never ended up where it should be and I couldn't find it again. That's happened 2 times and I distinctly remember both. There's a quality episode with Ari Baga, who knows messenger marketing inside and out, that is just lost to the ether.
The ether cycle.
Man, I'm bummed about the pandemic being back. You know, I guess it didn't really go away.
Illinois is doing fine though. Well, for Illinois they release zone data. The state has been split up into 4 separate zones.
I didn't know that.
And are you not paying attention to this?
I get my COVID news from like COVID Now. It's like a newsletter, and it like gives me a score and some KPIs for areas I subscribe to. So I get it for the state and our county.
I thought you were going to say you got it from like vaccinesarbad.org.
Yeah, what? No. I'm pro-vaccine. Give it all to me. Do they got like eyeball shots? I want it. Like, let me know I'm getting it.
No, Illinois, they split it into 4 zones, I think. And the zones can go into different levels of lockdown. And everyone was pissed who lived in the collar counties like you, who lived in Lake County. Those people were like, well, why do we have to be in the same zone as Chicago? We know it's a Chicago city urban problem with cities and urban things and density and urban. Urban, you know.
The city is different and bad.
So they were all pissed about that. And now the bad part of the state is all downstate. It's Springfield and lower.
Ooh.
So like they're skyrocketing and the evil Chicago urban zone is totally fine. So Illinois is going up.
I remember that. I actually remember reading comments. Never read the Facebook comments, my God, but I do it anyway because I just want to torture myself. And someone being like, all Pritzker's rules, that's for Chicago. That has nothing to do with us downstate Illinois.
Yeah. Well, guess what?
Now we need to protect the city of Chicago from these rural yahoos. Oh, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty much. The part of the state I care about is fine.
Jeez. All right. The one thing that does help with a pandemic, number 1, retail therapy. And I bought, Julie and I got the big Harry Potter Lego set, and she'll put it together, and then I'm really excited. There's a Shopify store called Brick Loot that sells LED lighting kits, and I have one for our Disney Cinderella castle. That's awesome. And so I'm very looking forward to getting super fiddly and weird and putting LEDs into this Harry Potter Lego castle.
So it's one set.
The LEDs or the Lego set?
The Lego set is just a single thing?
It's a single 6,000 piece set.
Okay, because they had a thing before where they had like a whole series where it was like various famous buildings from Harry Potter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They like connected together. Yeah. That's kind of what they have now with like a town. They have like a town set up where there's a bunch of like 3 flats and like
I've seen that. It looks
urban buildings.
When you do like the full street, it looks very cool.
Yeah, they all scale together and that you can lock them. They all have like little lockers at the same parts. And I think they did the same for Harry Potter because I knew someone that had like 4 of them.
All right, I have a list of website teardowns we're thinking about doing. And number 1 on there right now is Lego. So we're not going to do Lego in this episode, but we'll do. It's on my list to do. I think that'll be fun.
I did my retail therapy in that the light bulbs I'm obsessed with finally came back in stock.
All right, so explain to me what it, because I saw these light bulbs. I have opinions on light bulbs. We joke that we could do like a 20-minute set just on dad opinion light bulbs. Tell me what's fancy about your light bulbs.
All right, so my basement and a lot of my house is just can lights. It's recessed can lighting, can light city everywhere.
Okay.
And there are these old 45 to 65 watt, normal old light bulbs. And they're all on dimmer switches. Why are they all on dimmer switches? I don't know. Why are they all in cans? I don't know.
Dimmer switches cost more than regular switches. Be grateful that you got a bunch of free dimmer switches.
I guess. So I've been trying to swap them out with LED bulbs. And the thing is, when LEDs dim, they just get less bright.
Yes.
Whereas old light bulbs, when they dim, they would get warmer. You'd get that more yellowish coloring, like sunset type thing. And this is really big for me in the basement because, my wife goes to bed. She's a loser. She goes to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
She is working in an ICU. She is a healthcare hero.
Not during the week, though.
Oh, I see.
And so, she goes to bed. So, after 10 o'clock downstairs, that's PT. That's poly time. And
poly time. I got you.
That's when I put on my TCM, put the lights down low. And so there are these cans that like ring the whole basement. So I put those down about halfway, and it's really nice and soothing. But if I swapped them with LEDs, it would just be less bright white light. But Philips makes can light bulbs with, they call it like warming glow. So when you dim them, they actually get yellower like regular bulbs. And they're awesome. And they're impossible to find. Everyone bought them.
Because they're that. So you're not the only weirdo who likes this.
Home Depot was out of them. They were selling them on Amazon for literally like $11 a bulb.
Little retail arbitrage action.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I used a notify me when this is back in stock form on Home Depot's website, and they did. And I bought like 18 bulbs.
I love those. There was a lamp in our dining room that I got because I filled out a back in stock form on Home Depot's website, and like 6 months later it came back in stock. I bought it. And no, I'm a big fan of those back in stock forms. I don't know what percent of the time like I fill them out or use them or then end up buying, but I can think of several instances where I did. But the trick is, we'll bring this podcast back to e-commerce. In Shopify, many themes support a back in stock form. But the default, the way it works, and it's no fault of their own. They just, they don't really have a choice. It just sends you an email to the merchant, and then it's up to you to figure out what to do with it. So you got to swap that thing out for something that automates it. So there's several apps that do it. There's one that's aptly named Back in Stock. That was like the original. Or if you're on Klaviyo, this is a function that's built into Klaviyo called, it's like Klaviyo Back in Stock. You have to add a little bit of code to your theme to do it, but you've done that a bunch. What does that look like? As far as,
it's very easy. There's Klaviyo just gives you the snippet. All you have to do, there's like a Klaviyo API key or whatever you have to paste that's special to your account that you have to paste into the JavaScript part of the snippet. So you just put that on your page and it injects it where it thinks it should go in the product form. It'll be like right below the add to cart where the add to cart button would be. But also they include a thing where if it doesn't show up the way you want it, where you want it to show up, they just give you a div with an ID in it, and you just paste that wherever you want on your page. It shows up there. It's very easy. It's a 15-minute thing for me. And unlike a lot of other apps that are like turnkey, it just shows up where you want it to show up, that it actually works. Like 90% of the time it goes in the right spot. And if it doesn't, you could put it in the right spot yourself. Easy.
So if you're on Klaviyo and you don't have this set up, you don't pay anything extra for it. It's just a native Klaviyo feature. You make this one easy theme customization, and then you set up the back in stock flow in Klaviyo, and then whenever people sign up, they're on your email list. If they and then if that product comes back in stock, they get an email about it. Now I will say, be careful testing. Years ago, I was working. This is early in our Shopify career. I was working on recycledfirefighter.com. And wonderful merchant Jake Starr emails me and says, "Hey, in your testing, it's cool. Just FYI, you changed the availability on a product from out of stock to in stock, and it emailed everyone who'd signed up to be notified when it was back in stock. And it was just me testing. So that I have never made that same mistake twice.
Yeah, don't do that. Why would you do that?
All right, this is a pretty good cold open. One last shout out I have to do. So I'm proud of myself. I'm wearing entirely Shopify merchant apparel. So the jeans are like the sweatpants feeling jeans that I've talked about before that I love from Aviator on Shopify. And I'll throw that, I'm putting that in the show notes. I'm typing right here, Kurt's favorite jeans. And so I love these jeans. I'm wearing those, but I have paired it with socks, underwear, and a shirt from Unbound Merino, Dan Dembski's store, who was on this podcast a month ago, I think. And he was very kind. He sent me a bunch of his stuff. But the catch is it's merino wool. And merino's wool magic is that it doesn't smell. And in the past, I've owned like a merino wool hoodie. And in the hoodie, all right, it didn't smell, but like, I'm wearing a shirt under it. So to test I messaged him. I said, how long can I wear this stuff? Like, weird question. How long can I wear it before it smells? And he goes, it's like jeans. You'll know in your heart when it's time to wash them. He's like, but if it's the socks and you're just wearing them without shoes outside, you wash them. So I am now on day 4 or 5 of wearing the underwear. I'm changing, but I'm on day 5 with the socks and day 3 with the shirt. They're still clean. They don't smell. So at this point, like, I just got to keep going, right?
All I took from that was that
I'm not changing my clothes anymore.
That you're not changing your clothes and you smell.
I'm like huffing these socks. Look, I don't leave my house anymore. It's fine. The only reason I'm wearing clothes is for you.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, today was the first day I actually left the house in like 3 days straight.
Oh, what's the outside world like?
I don't know. It's scary. It's a little too warm.
Yeah, I'm not big on this heat wave. I'm a delicate flower. All right. We'll talk e-commerce day. The unofficial Shopify podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Elster. Joining me is my co-host, Paul Rita. Lovely man that he is. And on today's episode, we discuss what an accessibility lawsuit costs, the return of Google PageSpeed and why it's bad. I hate that thing.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
And building better blog pages in Shopify. And we'll be joined by a special guest, pulled from my pool of guests in my house. So, okay, it's my wife. And then
it's not Kennedy.
It's not my 3-year-old.
3-year-old.
No, my 3-year-old would be like, ha 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 ha. I'd be like, she's just a chucklehead who thinks farts are funny, and I don't judge.
Just like.
Yes,
Daddy.
I was gonna say she got it from somewhere. I don't judge. And then finally, if we have time, we'll do a teardown of the official minor league baseball store, Paul's White Whale.
What do you mean if we have time? That's the only thing I showed up for.
All right, we'll do it no matter what. Okay. So we talked about on 2 episodes ago, you and I, we talked about accessibility on the show, and things have gotten weirder. So right at like days after that, some more prominent accessibility lawsuits were filed. What up with that?
You put it on the thing. I don't know.
I sent you the show notes in advance, but I was supposed to go, what up with that? And then you recap it for me. You're like, all right, well, these guys got sued.
Well, I know what I sent you. Home Depot got sued, I believe.
It was Home Depot, Gimlet Media, the big podcaster.
Gimlet Media, the big podcaster, yeah. And someone else. I don't remember who. But what all these things have in common is that they all have video or audio content that they do not provide transcriptions or closed captionings for on their websites. Obviously, Home Depot, they have a lot of how-to videos. They have a lot of stuff on the product pages. Gimlet Media is podcasts, so they just have it's all audio content, wall-to-wall, and deaf users are unable to figure out what's going on in that content, and they have gotten sued by one guy who is filing a ton of these lawsuits, and they're probably going to either need to add transcripts to their stuff or settle.
Okay, and what blows my mind about this is,
I mean, this is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff we talked about 2 weeks ago, that's hard shit. That's a moving target. You don't know what you're doing. It's very scary.
Trying to get a theme to the accessibility guidelines set by the consortium is called WCAG 2.1. Trying to get a Shopify theme to meet 100% of WCAG 2.1 is hard and expensive. I checked the work logs for your efforts in the past, And it's about it's minimum 8 hours to do this, depending on the theme. And then on top of it, you still need to make your accessibility statement, and you still need to have an accessibility toolbar, like Accessibility, and then it's still an ongoing effort, to maintain the content with alt tags and transcriptions. So we transcribe the video and audio for this. And how do we do it?
It would be way more than 8, because on those projects we didn't really go extremely deep into the weeds, and we just kind of used a checker from an automated checker from another website. We didn't have an actual visual impaired person try to buy something. That wasn't part of our task list. So just
actually, in KeySport's case, they did do that. Actually, we weren't involved with it. It wasn't us doing it, but yeah, they did do it.
So, and it works?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you were successful.
Oh, thank God. So where were we?
What?
So
all right, let's say I got transcripts.
Know how much? Yeah, getting transcripts, easy. You hire someone to do it. We have someone to do it. His name's Tim.
Tim Hip.
Tim's a great guy. He knocks it out for us every week. He does our transcript for our podcast. He's not expensive. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Gimlet Media, I believe, got bought by Spotify, so they are just crapping cash right now. And for them to not pay for this is truly ridiculous.
What in the heck is Mr. Tim Hip's website?
It's like transcribeyourpod.com.
I'm trying to find it because I like the guy. I want to put it in the show notes. He's been very good. Yeah, it's transcribeyourpod.com. All right, so if you want a guy that you could just go to for transcriptions, and you don't want to be, you could use a service like Rev. The problem is Rev, they got criticized heavily for, they took an Uber approach where they got all these people to transcribe for them by paying them a reasonable rate. And then once they were successful, they said, okay, well, we're cutting everybody's rates. That didn't go over well. I know it went badly for them, and they pulled back on some things. But it's still like, if you can, and if you're doing this as an ongoing effort, it is much better to just hire an individual freelancer for transcriptions. Whereas if you need an occasional one-off thing, okay, just use Rev and make your life easier. Also for YouTube videos, Rev is it pulls from the video and pushes the subtitles up for you. That's convenient.
Yeah. Well, and the Rev thing was a real joke because they have a lower tier. Obviously you pay a person, you're paying more, but they have a lower tier product where you could pay an AI to do it. And the AI exists because they took all that human transcriptions and then fed it all into the AI. So not only were the people not getting paid very much, they also were training their own robot replacements.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, it was real great. Real great move by them.
I do use that Rev automated transcription when I'm just when I need I need something just for myself, for my notes, for something I'm working on, to get a quick transcription. Just because it's not perfect. I'll use it. Recently, I used it to do, I had to re-record one of our sponsor recordings, and I just wanted some plain text of it. So I threw it in Rev, and immediately, it cost me literally 60 cents, and then immediately I got the thing back. And it showed, it's a 30-second clip, and in there it was speaker 1, speaker 2, and it was just because, my tone changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, and it does pretty good, but it definitely not the same as a human doing it, for sure.
I find it funny that we're talking about Tim, and then he's going to be transcribing this. He's gonna be like, hey, that's me.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I like to support quality freelancers. Anyway, so if you do get hit with an accessibility lawsuit, in our group, there was someone talking about getting hit with an accessibility lawsuit and having to settle. And then I searched and I found more of these in the Shopify Plus group. And it sounds like you're typically going to pay about $13,000 to make it go away. And I don't think that includes legal fees. So I figure you're probably up to $20,000 easy if you get hit with one of these accessibility lawsuits and you don't fight it. You just here's some cash to go away.
Well, if you're just paying him cash to go away, your attorney is not charging you $7,000.
Okay.
To hand over the money.
All right.
At least I hope not.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works.
But yeah, and then you pay the $13,000, which is, I don't know, probably what it would cost you to get your site up to speed, I would think. Paying the $13,000 once saves you from that one lawsuit.
Keep happening, can't it?
Yeah. If you take that 13,000 and invest it in making your site accessible, you have taught a man to fish, and now he will have fish forever.
But you're not gonna, like, I don't know. I think in most instances, you're probably not gonna spend 13 grand making the site accessible.
No, it's not gonna cost 13 grand, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. No, absolutely. So there has been a resurgence of an old anime. Google PageSpeed has returned.
Multiple people in the group this week.
Emperor Palpatine in episode 9, this thing is back. What's Google PageSpeed? Why do I care, and why do we hate it? I hate it. It just tortures me. It tortures merchants, all for not... and for like the level of pain and suffering this thing inflicts on business owners, the return is just not there.
Yeah. So Google PageSpeed is a thing that supposedly tells you how fast your site is and the things you can do to make your site faster. And it gives you this whole list of like, oh, well, this JavaScript is loading. That's too big. These images are too big. They don't need to be. They're too big for this slot. You could save 1 second if you fix that. You could save 1 second if you fix this. You could save 5 seconds if you fix that. And then they give you a score out of 100, which for a Shopify store is usually like 20 or like 25. And so everyone who has a Shopify store puts it in there, sees they get a 25, and they're like, oh my God, 25 out of 100. That's an F. So they freak out. And I don't remember if it has some stuff on the right rail about how like, well, if you cut for every second, that old stat, for every second you cut out of your load time, that will increase your revenue by 2% or whatever, something like that.
Has anyone ever actually reproduced that result?
I don't think so. So then they do that math, and they're like, my site's terrible. Also, if it wasn't terrible, I'd be a millionaire. That they just take those steps immediately.
Okay. Well, and then there's also the threat that like, well, if my site's slow, it's not going to show up at Google searches, which I really don't think they're doing that either.
No, they're not doing that either.
I mean, it really comes down to, we've got, if Google has a search result and it's got 2 results and the ranking factor says, hey, these things rank the same, but like, one is faster than the other, it will give preference to the faster one. I think that's the perception of how it actually works in practice.
Yeah, that's what I read too, is that it's like, if it's literally a tie and there's nothing else, it's truly a tie, the one with a higher speed will go above the one with the lower speed. Not the one with the lower speed is not listed on Google. It's you lose the tiebreaker.
Yes. And so I think I would treat page speed the same way you would treat audio quality in a podcast. The content is what's important. The audio quality, if great audio quality doesn't hurt, bad audio quality doesn't help, right? Like when this show, when we used $30 garbage microphones, somehow I still got listeners. With page speed, a faster site is better. Let's make that clear. A slow site could cause people to bounce, could create problems. But like, if you have a site that loads in 4 seconds versus 2 seconds, or a site that loads at like 3.5 versus 2.5, honestly, I have yet to see a scenario where that made some like dramatic difference in any metric. And the thing is, like, especially like we're shopping on phones, they're all LTE now. I mean, they're very fast. Many people's phones are faster than their home internet connection. I'm on gigabit internet. Man, like, it really does not take a particularly quick internet connection to make a 5 meg website appear to load instantaneously.
Well, and I think the fact that it's also the fact that the Google PageSpeed score is wrong. It is not an accurate measure of speed.
No, it really isn't. It's an arbitrary checklist of recommendations. Here, a Google engineer's fever dream of best practices for server configuration, and then it checks your site against that, and that's what a lot of that score is based on. But not all of it is practical, applicable, or sane for a Shopify store.
Yeah. And I mean, they have this whole thing like, I just loaded up one of our clients in the background while you were talking. Their Google PageSpeed score is 13.
Oh my God.
13 out of 100. It's horrendous. I mean, you would think that this store is a trash pile. In the last month, They've done $630,000 in revenue. So they're going to do over $6 million this year on their 13 Google PageSpeed score. And, it's got all this stuff in here. Oh, well, you could save 5 seconds if you remove all this unused JavaScript. Well, okay, what's the unused JavaScript? It's their Yotpo reviews. It's the JavaScript that runs the YouTube video on their homepage. It's the script that does their Facebook cookieing. It's the script that it's the scripts that run their site from Shopify. I mean, none of these things are unused on this store. You need all of these things.
But it's claimed they're unused.
It claims they're unused. The Klaviyo script that runs their email sign-up forms. You need those to run a site. But Google PageSpeed says, well, this is unused JavaScript, and you'd save 5 seconds if you got rid of all of it. No, you wouldn't.
No. So we do have a client who did all of the very aggressive optimizations that Google PageSpeed recommends. And that was a year ago. It had no impact on anything other than we are still finding stuff that broke as a result and undoing it and fixing it to this day. It's just maddening. Because just the reality of having apps and then trying to concatenate all their JavaScript. It's not realistic to do it without breaking things or with being able to maintain it long term. So I think a fast site is important. Having a faster site is better than having a slower site. The importance of it has been overstated, and Google PageSpeed Insights tool as a tool for determining what is fast and slow, it's just not a good tool. I mean, really,
it's wrong. It's fully wrong. You should never use it and never look at it.
I hate it. What do we do instead? And what are some sane benchmarks?
Well, I'll tell you what I do. I don't know if it's useful for our clients who are less tech savvy, but every web browser has something in it that's called Inspector or Network or something like that. It has an inspector window, developer tools, developer options. And so what you do with those is you look at this developer options, and it has a tab on it that called Network usually, and you reload the page with that tab open, and it shows you everything that loads, how big it is, how long it takes, all of that. And in the bottom, it'll say how long it took, how much had to be transferred, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, if you could get, it's not perfect either, because, say you have a tool that's sort of firing and keeping track of what the user is doing on the page. Well, if that keeps firing and that keeps sending data back, that's still getting registered as the page is loading, because there are still things loading in the background. The user is using the page fine, but that number gets escalated. So really, I would just look at the transfer amount and the time that, I don't know, on Firefox, there's something where it says load on it, and what the load number is. So, generally, transferred, you'd want to see that under 5. You want to see that 5 megs or under. And then load time, probably 5 seconds or under. And if you hit both those numbers, you're fine. You have other things to worry about on your store that are more important than getting that number lower. And I think that's another main part of it, is that a lot of people think that, this is a problem. If you score 7s on both of them, they're like, oh, this is a problem. Can you do better than 7? Yeah, probably. Are there 10 other things you could do on your store that will give you way more bigger wins than getting that 7 down into a 5? 100%. As long as your site is not literally taking 20 seconds on every page load and people are sitting there and going, oh, screw this, and leaving, you've pretty much solved the issue already.
Okay. So use common sense, be sane about it. I say use the tool I like is Pingdom Tools, tools.pingdom.com. Again, I'm linking to that in the show notes. It's still going to give you a score. Don't pay attention to the letter grade. You make yourself crazy. But look at, it's worthwhile to see what's the total page size, and and then try and get that down by reviewing okay, what's the biggest image on this? Do we need that? Can we make it smaller, etc. The images problem has been solved a lot by Shopify
transitioning all their images on the stores to WebP.
Okay.
Which is a new modern image format that drastically slices the size of images down. You don't have to do anything extra. Shopify does it all on their servers. So it serves WebP images to the end user, which has caused a huge drop in load times. It's been really great. And in the new version of iOS and Apple, Safari will finally support WebP this fall. And that was the main problem still, is that people on their iPhones were not getting the WebP images. And that'll change in like September or October.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, that was the one thing that was not working with it, and now it is. So just give me some like benchmarks for page size in megabytes, and then we'll move on.
I went over that when you weren't listening.
Oh, sorry. Okay, good. Well, the reason I wasn't listening is I was trying to get my wife in here, who is our resident Shopify blogger, and Google PageSpeed tortures merchants. The other thing I see come up as a frequent complaint that I don't understand, but I know there are options and solutions to fix this problem for merchants, is the Shopify blog. Merchants love to complain about the Shopify blogging feature, and I don't get it. Like, it works just fine for me. I have no issues with it. But my wife has a Shopify store with hundreds of pages that are pages and blog posts. Let's see. Yeah, 627 pages on her site, www. And so I wanted to talk to her, since she, probably more than anyone else I know, has used this thing to blog. Mrs. Elster, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So now you're on the other side of the table, because you also record a podcast in here.
I do. It's weird being on this side.
So tell me about your experience with Shopify as a CMS. Like, what do you like it? Does it frustrate you? What would you change about it?
I have no issues with it. I think sometimes photos can give me trouble.
Okay, that one I've heard.
But I'm really curious, what complaints do people have about the blog? It's pretty straightforward. I'm like the least technical person out there, and I can figure this out and post a blog and get a ton of traffic. So what are the complaints exactly?
Well, I think, number one, I think you're probably more technical than you realize.
Well, thank you.
And you're using Artisan theme by Out of the Sandbox, which has a nice, really nice like page layouts. And then on top of that, I tweak that theme with some extra rules. Like, images are always forced to 100% width in articles or pages. And then we also did like some nice tweaking just to the text itself for readability. I think it worked out pretty well. But the layout that you use is really like, image, headline, text, list. It's all single column. And I think what people are doing is trying to do like fancy magazine. Maybe they're trying to do like fancy magazine style layouts.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to do like, float an image left, right, and try and make that work responsive, all right, you could quickly get yourself into trouble with that, I think.
I think you're wasting your time. Like, why mess with that? Okay, so I'm not somebody who sits and like watches YouTube videos or, okay, I record a podcast, but I don't listen to podcasts. I read blogs, I read articles constantly. I don't get the need for like these goofy layouts and trying to make a blog look like a magazine. I think you're wasting your time.
You think it's a gimmick?
Yes, it is.
I think it's, honestly, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, I think it's an excuse to not have to put in the work. Like, a blog post that is going to drive organic traffic, it's going to do really well, has to be like an ultimate guide kind of thing. It needs to be 2,000 words. Well, who wants to put in that effort?
It doesn't have to be 2,000 words.
What do you shoot for?
I don't shoot for anything in particular. I don't ever shoot for anything. I'm writing to get content out there. And if I can make my point in a very short, succinct article, then I'm going to do that. I'm not going to waste somebody's time with 2,000 words and 40 photos in a goofball layout if I can get to the point quickly and succinctly. So I think that people are overcomplicating blogs is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I know you're right. I just needed someone who does.
I was very curious when you told me you wanted me to talk on this, because I'm like, well, what issues do people have? I write to answer the questions that people have. So if somebody has a question, I'm going to research or I'm going to write to whatever my knowledge is on that. And it doesn't matter if it's, 200 words or 2,000 words. If I have a nice photo to go with it, I'll put nice photos in there, but I'm not going to lose sleep over layout and all of that. It's just, the point is to get relevant information out there. And the point is to get people to find you in Google searches. So I think people are probably just overcomplicating.
Certainly. But, one of the things, some of the tools that people use are like landing page builders, like Shogun or Zipify pages. And that really feels like overcomplicating it.
I don't know what either of those are.
It's like a drag and drop page builder. So you can like make it look how you want.
Oh, okay.
There's a new one that just came out. We'll give them the plug. I think it's called Blog Creator for Shopify. A very straightforward name. I just saw it on Product Hunt this week. It says, level up your Shopify blog with the first CMS purpose-built for e-commerce. All right, Shopify is a CMS. And they say, create blog posts that convert readers into subscribers. How? Easily distribute content to social and email. Measure your results with analytics. All right, those all sound good,
Yeah,
but
how does an app convert readers into subscribers?
All right, so for subscribers, yours does that because we have a newsletter opt-in built into it.
Yes, but I also end everything with like, you have questions.
A call to action.
Yeah, like if you have questions, you can go here. If you need more information, here's where you can go. So like I always end it with like, here are next steps for, the couple of things that I'm looking to have the reader do.
They're going to say embed products and collections in your blog posts. Well, actually, some themes support that now using short codes. Or you could customize it to support it. Honestly, I think it's just a lack of education. Clearly, Shopify's focus is not on the blogging side of it. So they're not, no one's producing a ton of exciting content around like, here's a screencast of, understanding the basics of HTML, CSS to make this look the way you want it without having to use all this nonsense. Right?
So recently, and I'm sure you've talked about this quite a bit, and I know Paul knows, I adopted a bunny, and
love that bunny.
I know all about the bunny.
We love the bunny. Mary Hoppins.
Bunny's so sweet. But a bunny is a ton of work. Like a ton of work. And there was so much I didn't know about bunnies. And so in researching it, I kept coming across this blog, and it was, what's the name? Small Pet Select. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Small Pet Select.
Yes,
They're a Shopify store.
Yeah, and they have an amazing blog. And so now they are my go-to for information, also for Timothy Hay and bunny treats.
And they
have the best bunny information on their blog. And when I have Googled, healthy bunny treats or, bunny behaviors, what does it mean when my bunny's doing this or that? Their blog keeps coming up, and I have purchased from them multiple times. So I think a blog is definitely helpful, and they're not doing anything insane. They have a few photos. It's just straightforward. Like, is your bunny, kicking its feet? Here's what that means. Is your bunny, clawing at its cage? Here's what that means. It's very straightforward.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I see they got a bunch of posts in here, and they've got it organized by animal. So here we'll link to it.
Yeah, their blog is great.
However, I will point out their blog this appears to be WordPress, and Shopify is on a subdomain.
Oh, so they're using a different blog.
Different blogging platform.
Well, whatever. It got me to their store. The point is blogging got me to their store.
Yes. And I'm guessing they're using it for like organization. But we've done this with the Shopify blog. Yeah, the Shopify blog supports multiple blogs, and it supports tagging. Well, between the two of those, you can easily do categorization. In fact, I will link in the show notes to a Shopify store with a really impressive, fancy blog. Can You Handlebar is the brand, the website. And their amazing blog is called The Beard Mentor. And they've got a ton of quality content. There is no app. There is nothing crazy here. This thing is run entirely in the Shopify blog platform. So I will include that in the show notes. So, Miss Julie, your advice here is blog prolifically to see results. Don't get obsessed with the format. The content, the substance is way more important than the style. And just focus on answering your readers' questions.
Yes. And if you see that people are searching for certain things, or you keep popping up for this one specific thing, double down on that. Like, that's the thing you should be writing more about. Clearly, people want to know more about it. So,
and you rank for it.
Yeah. Double down on it. Just get them to your site by giving them good information about, your products or stuff surrounding your products.
Excellent advice.
Thank you.
You are dismissed. Paul and I have a teardown to do.
Okay, it's been fun.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Paul.
Bye, Julie.
Excellent. So let's do a minor league baseball teardown.
My white whale.
What's the URL for this?
It is milbstore.com.
Got it. All right, I've got a screencast going. I've got milbstore.com open in front of me. I'm looking at the homepage. What am I doing here? What am I shopping for today?
All right, so this is the store for minor league baseball. For those of you that don't know what minor league baseball is, there's all the baseball teams that you know in all the big cities, the 30 Major League Baseball teams. Each of those teams has 5 or 6 different minor league affiliates that are guys that are coming up, that are younger, or that will never be in the majors, but they play in smaller towns across America. Unfortunately, there is no minor league baseball this year due to COVID. They've just decided to cancel it, and I'm going to give no comment on that. And the people that watch the videos know I like buying shirts from them because it's all these weird team names and weird logos, and I always think they're very fun. If you're watching the video today, I'm wearing my Staten Island Pizza Rats shirt, which is not an actual team. It was a promo the Staten Island Yankees did. So the MILB store was terrible for many years, 5 years ago. Even up until last year, it was built on top of Cold Fusion. It was horrendous. It was one of the worst stores I've ever interacted with in my life. And I made it my mission to get it on Shopify because I think it should have been on Shopify, to the point where I was finding people that worked at Shopify at Unite and being like, hey, we should work together and get MILB as a single entity on one single store for all the 150 different teams. There should just be one store that's a clearinghouse. And they kind of like backed away from me and were very frightened by me because I was too excited. But
yeah, this 6'4" monster of a man just comes out of nowhere and goes, hey, you work at Shopify, right? No, we got to get the MLB on Shopify. We got to do it. Okay. That's what they saw. It's just you towering over them yelling about the MILB store. They're like, I have to go. I have to stand over here now.
But anyway, so in like April, I loaded up the store to look at if there was any cool new stuff to buy. And lo and behold, it was a brand new store on Shopify. They went and did it without me. Those jerks, how dare they? I'm very mad about it. So we're going to be looking at this store. And I think the interesting thing to look at is, let's think about this. There are 150 different teams.
Okay.
Let's say each team has 50 products? So if there are 150 teams and each team has 50 products, that is a 7,500 product catalog.
It's a beefy store.
And it's more than that.
I scrolled to the bottom of the site, and it does not have an accessibility statement.
Oh, that's bad. No good.
In fact, I'm just going to search Control F. No, and no like accessibility app. Ooh.
Well, they're in trouble.
Yeah, I would do something about that one quickly. Okay, so I'm on the homepage. I'm at the top of the page.
I think the key here is let's hover over. First thing, make sure your screen's wide enough because this thing hamburgers really fast. If you get below 1,300 pixels, it hamburgers.
Okay. I'm at 1920 by 1080 for the sake of the screencast.
All right. Hover over Shop by Team.
Yeah.
So there's your problem.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. There are 6 columns. Each column has how many items in it?
I don't know.
Many. And the whole list is at 14-point font.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. I think this is a good way of doing it.
It has the little icons on there, which I think is nice.
Yeah. When you have this many teams, I can't think of a better way of doing it. You could search for caps. I mean, you could hover the other ones. It's like men, women, kids, caps, novelties, collections, whatever.
But realistically, I'm shopping by team, aren't I?
I think the better thing, and this is that bar on top, it's shop by affiliation. So click on shop by affiliation.
It's a button at the top of this drop-down menu, shop by affiliation.
I think it should be more prominent. Even.
It should be, well, if this is like the easiest, best way to do it, and a majority of people do it, it should be a parent element in the main menu. And it could even be a button like, hey, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 9 items in the main menu. Oh my gosh. And like they all make sense. But if there's like one obvious one and you've got kind of a big, harder to navigate catalog, I was going to say confusing. It's not really confusing. There's just a lot to it. So this was not an easy task for anybody. I'm not envious of whoever had to figure this out.
No, and that was the thing. Every time I ranted about it in the office, you were like, "How are you going to do it? Do you understand? It's like herding cats. It's 150 different companies doing business as one company."
Yeah, no, it's a weird scenario. Okay, so shop by affiliation, if it's a good experience, that button should just be in the main menu. Could be the first thing. So I'll click that guy.
So I think this is the way to do it. All right, let's say I'm a White Sox fan. If I'm a White Sox fan, here are all the MLB teams, all their minor league affiliates, and I could say, well, I want to be a cool hipster White Sox fan and have gear from their minor league teams. So I think that's the way to do it. And the icons do these little bounce things. That's cool. You could flip between the AL and the NL. So we could just pick a White Sox team. Let's pick the Kannapolis Cannonballers. And then we're in the Kannapolis.
Under Shopify, you lost me. I've got my filter. Shopify affiliation has this cool filter at the top. American League or National League?
Yeah.
Which one?
AL, the one you're already on.
All right.
And you see the White Sox?
Yes.
All right, now click on the Kannapolis Cannonballers under the White Sox because we are hypothetical White Sox fans.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, and all right, so then when I land on the collection for the Cannonballers, it's got a nice banner across the top that matches. There was a ribbon or a banner that just disappeared on me. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was like a shipping
Sign
thing.
up for emails and score 10% off. And then eventually it went away?
Yeah, it's weird. It bounces around.
Okay.
So here you have your general Cannonballer gear, and I'm going to get in a little weeds here to tell you how they did this. So you have on the left, I think this is very well done. This column on the left side, you have brand. Who cares about brand? I don't care if it was made by Nike or New Era. Who gives a shit?
Some people will have especially if you buy a lot of sports gear, you probably, especially and sizing is the thing. Like you're like, I've got this one shirt or jersey that it fits well, it feels good, I like it. So for people who buy a lot of sports apparel, they could have opinions on brand.
All right. But then you get department. You got all the different kinds of things that they sell. You could narrow it down by infants, kids, men, women, toddlers, that sort of stuff. And I think, cap type, I think that's really good. And the way they did this is, let's click on t-shirts on that left rail on the bottom. This is all tag based. So we're just in the collection we're in is the Kannapolis Cannonballers collection.
And it's filtered by tag.
And this is all just filtering by tag.
So what theme do you think they built this on?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm assuming it's entirely custom because this Snow Commerce company it was built by a company called Snow Commerce. I think they're pretty fancy, so maybe they did it all themselves. I don't know.
Well, should I include? I'll include Snow Commerce in our show notes. Why not?
I hate them, but in the nicest way. They're like my nemesis, where it's like we're frenemies.
I don't think they know that or care.
They don't, no. But they also did the Star Trek store.
Ooh.
Which obviously I'm also very
That's on the short list after Lego.
Yeah.
So I will say, all right, you're right. This is in Shopify, you could filter a collection by tag easily. And then you could do a sidebar, powered off link lists if you wanted to. That's what they've got going here. The limitation here is it's all mutually exclusive. You can only pick one thing at a time.
No. Because if you click,
so
we have,
okay.
You're on the Kannapolis. You click department.
Oh, it does. I see.
Right?
Yeah, it'll add a second tag to it.
And you can add a second tag. It'll just put plus and then add shop for men. And now you only get the men's t-shirts.
And it popped me into, sorry, there's no products available at this time. And it has a cool GIF. And then weirdly, they did an embed from Giphy. So if you hover over it, it's like an ad for Giphy and other GIFs. Probably should have just put the GIF in there natively. But I like that, we do a cute thing. What would work, the way to upgrade this is use an app, product filter and search by booster apps. We've used that in a couple stores. I like it a lot. We could have that. That would make this filter be a lot saner because it out of the box, you could do collapsible menus. You can have it. There's different selection types. much more obvious and like that you're doing combining filters, and it'll show you like it'll automatically remove combos that have 0 products. It would work like this but better.
It worked fine for me.
No.
I was on t-shirts and then clicked shop for men, and it only gave me the men's shirts.
All right, so I've got.
I thought this worked out great using only the stock Shopify tools.
All right, fine.
The name of this theme, by the way, is MILB Team Version 2.3. So that sounds like a custom theme to me.
All right. Which shirt should I pick?
Well, apparently the name of the Cannonballers mascot is Boomer, so they're selling OK Boomer tees.
Oh, look at that.
Which is pretty fun. I like this red roundel tee, the first one. I like that a lot.
I don't see an OK Boomer tee. Oh, there it is. I'm clicking the OK Boomer tee.
All right.
I don't see product reviews on... Yeah, there's no product reviews on this thing.
Well, and I think it's a very long tail. There's a lot of products, but I don't think a lot of products sell a lot.
And especially if you're using like print on demand. Like this OK Boomer shirt is clearly a mock-up. And with a catalog this big, like I don't blame them. Trying to printed photograph all of these would be a nightmare in itself.
Well, and that was the problem before. I mean, it was clearly like a person in the Kannapolis Intimidator Stadium store with an iPhone camera taking photos of like the t-shirts, and they were all different aspect ratios. It was horrendous. It was truly like 1997 level was the old store. So this is a gigantic improvement.
Okay. And so, knowing that like they're coming from this outdated platform and they've got a big catalog to deal with, we have to cut some slack on anything that's like would involve touching every single product. Like you just have to try and do as much in a database or a CSV as you can. So the product, I'm looking at the OK Boomer tee, and there's a few issues. So I notice at the end of the product description, it just says item number, and then there's no item number. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like clearly that was a mistake. It probably just supposed to show the SKU, right? But that is not in the description. That's its own entity. So that has just been like not entered for that product, or the liquid's wrong or something. Okay. Yeah. So that's an easy fix, but it's a bug in the template. I've got social share buttons directly under the product form. Nothing could make me crazier.
And social share buttons above.
No, those aren't share buttons. Those are just links to MILB.
Those are links to. Oh God.
Yeah. So I don't want all these links that are like, hey, go to these other networks you're addicted to when I'm this close to making a purchase decision.
And so as someone struggling with these shirts, I bought some of these shirts. Like my Lehigh Valley Iron Pig shirt is too small for me because they don't have
a size guide.
Sizing guides.
Nothing. There's no size info at all.
I mean, I'm sure their biggest sellers here are all apparel related.
Of course.
You need to have a sizing guide.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like that's like conversion rate optimization wise, you want to start with busting objections. And on an apparel store, sizing and returns are going to be the biggest objections. So I'm looking at this product, and it is not, even though I could sort by like how it's by who the vendor was, it does not tell me what this shirt is printed on. It does not tell me what this shirt is made out of. It doesn't tell me how the sizing works. And it doesn't tell me what happens if it doesn't fit. Those are like the most obvious objections you're going to get with purchasing apparel online. And for a store that is, out of figured it's got 7,500 products, I'm going to go ahead and guess that at least 5,000 are t-shirts.
Oh, you have no idea. If you click on novelties or whatever, there's 3,000 products there. And so, yeah, they also have, this, I love this red roundel tee that they're selling. I'd really like to buy that. I need a 2XL or a 3XL. They're both out of stock. And as we talked about before, if I try to select those sizings, it just does nothing. On OK Boomer, 3XL's out of stock. There's no back in stock form for me to fill out or anything. I'm probably not going to get this shirt.
Right.
Because they don't have it. I don't know if they're ever going to have it ever again.
Yeah, that's an easy cut. So far, the homepage, the navigation, I think they're tasked with an extremely difficult thing and did very well. The collection page is good. You think it's great. I think product filtered search app or some kind of filtering app would plus it. And then on the product detail page is where things a little bit fall on their face.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's pretty much like, here's a shirt, buy it or don't.
Well, here I landed
Like,
on.
no...
I switched to the red roundel tee. I was on the OK Boomer tee before.
Yeah.
This one has a shorter logo, but a much more useful logo. It describes it like alt text style, red short sleeve tee with roundel logo. All right, that's some SEO action. And then it says made by Gildan, 100% cotton. Okay, already that's more info than I had on the other one. So I think it's there. The issues we're seeing are just around the sheer size of the product catalog.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how they're set up, but I was like, again, is it herding cats? Like there's 150 different merchandising people in 150 different cities across America who are uploading this all to this store?
Yes.
Or is there like, there isn't someone in St. Petersburg or whatever just being like, this is bad. We got to get all these. We're working on all of these.
So it's easy for us from the outside to say like, oh, just do this, just do that. But I think it's important to acknowledge the organizational difficulties that are behind those recommendations when you're dealing with what's essentially like a giant professional association that also happens to have an e-commerce store.
Yeah, this is like a marketplace site almost when you think about it.
Yeah. So,
and one more thing on this like trust bar, we call these a trust bar.
The badges. It says secure checkout, friendly returns, fast shipping. That we call that the trust bar. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to know what friendly returns mean. I mean, you talked about it before.
Yeah.
I mean, if I buy that 2XL shirt and it's too small, how bad are you going to ding me?
For example, the phrase friendly returns could mean anything. As in, I ask to return it and you say, no, thank you. Or like when my children were younger, they go, they ask them to do something. They go, no, thank you. And then when you got mad, they go, I use my manners. So you're right. So if you, that trust returns badge, it uses this gray color. It doesn't quite match the site. The whole thing is one big image. It's just a graphic for three things.
Oh, geez. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, and I don't think it has alt text on it either, so not ideal for accessibility. Yeah. And actually, no, I'm sorry, it has an alt tag. The alt tag just says trust badge. Whoops.
All right, I take it back. We could have done a better job than these guys. Snow Commerce, we're coming for you.
Oh my gosh, take it back. I don't know. I'm not in a competition here. We're just like, add some alt text. They did the hard part was figuring out how to do this menu. This trust badge feels, the way it's implemented feels like an afterthought, but it could be improved. What happens if I add to cart?
We got a modal cart that pops up.
Okay. And then it says...
That's fine.
It weirdly says you have one item in your cart, like dead center in the cart, and then it disappears on me. And my cart, the badge on the page didn't update so I click through, now I'm on the cart page.
Yeah, it doesn't Ajax the number of items in your cart.
Yeah. There's some other weird things that happen here in the cart. So it's they've got a note in here, have a discount code, continue to check out to redeem it. So that tells you that was like a customer service thing where people were confused and kept asking. We've got below that the Shopify default note, shipping and taxes calculated at checkout. Whenever I can, I remove this thing or replace it with like a free shipping calculator. I don't see anything on here about free shipping, what their free shipping threshold is. And it says checkout. I always rename this thing proceed to checkout because it's more accurate. And then underneath the checkout button, do you see this? It says shipping outside of the USA ? And then there's nothing there. It's just it's a rhetorical question. Shipping outside the USA, and then it's just like this orphan text. It's a little weird. So I don't know if that was supposed to be a link or what was supposed to go there.
Yeah, I don't know. That has a class on it called alt. So I don't know if that's like supposed to be connected to a button or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a little odd. And then there's the notes. They renamed it special delivery instructions or gift message. So I generally prefer to remove the notes, but if I have to include them, certainly I want to, instead of just having it be like include a message, I want it to specify what the message is for, and they've done that. The only way I think to improve it a little more would be if it were like an accordion, where I click that note to open the input box. Yeah, I view it as a distraction. I'd rather not have it.
So we click checkout.
In checkout, they put their logo in. Fantastic. They've got the express checkout stuff in here. Great. They don't require my phone number. They don't have the company field. Good. And then the continue to shipping button is a color I don't think the website uses.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more styling here. I mean, the big one is you got to get that logo up there, because otherwise it's just like Helvetica font being like MILB store, and like that doesn't give a lot of confidence. But yeah, I think the right rail, that gray area, they could make
the order summary field.
The order summary field, they can make that like the blue from the navigation or whatever, and then all of the buttons on the front end of the store were all red. So I feel like that continue to shipping button should also continue being red.
Well, you know what would be cool? The way I might do this is in that order summary, you do like a repeating graphic of like the logo badge graphic, and do it like faded, so it's kind of like a watermark. It'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
A really good example of that is on Harney.com. They had like a monogram logo that they use on their gift wrap. And so I made that into a repeating pattern and put that in the order summary, and it's like real faded and subtle. It's very cool. I'm sure most people they just overlook it, but fancy. I see it and I love it.
And that's what matters.
Yes, of course. That's what you want to hear. Back on the homepage, scrolling through the homepage looks pretty good. The featured promo section, I think they did a really nice job on that, where it's like shop apparel, shop caps. They're kind of trying to divide me, steer me up. You know, they've got their face masks as a featured thing. They've got trending products as pre-orders. I think that's great. They do something unusual. They have auctions on the site, and like right in here, it's like, oh, closes in. That's cool. That took some effort. But when you click through, it takes you off the Shopify store. It runs on its own thing, it looks like.
Oh, it goes to MILB auctions, which has its own thing.
But knowing the disaster that was the previous online experience to this, I think they did a phenomenally good job with it. And there's just trying to deal with a catalog this huge is difficult.
Yeah. Huge upgrade from zero. If you click on go to the masks, click on like the Hillsborough Hops mask. I have a Hillsborough Hops shirt. That was one of the first ones I got. I love it.
I recognize it. You've worn that so much. It's got that, like the silk screening starting to crack. I'm very familiar with the Hop shirt.
So yeah, the Hops product at least has a much better description.
Okay, so yeah, this does speak to the idea that their issues are just related to trying to deal with that huge catalog. And so I think, I don't think this is Snow Commerce. I think it's Snow Commerce said, hey, here's the right way to do it. And then it's up to MILB to go through thousands of products and update them. So you're right. Looking at a new product, it's got a nice description. The item number works. Okay, that's much better.
I didn't say it was Snow Commerce.
Well, you also declared that now we're in a battle.
We are.
Well, all right, fine. Then you could challenge them to a rap battle. I'm staying out of this.
They stole my dream. No, I just think MILB is not well versed in having a well run single point of commerce for all their affiliates.
Right. And this is a huge upgrade for them. Anything else of note on this site before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Cool. All right. We'll end it there. If someone were to go buy a shirt, what would be the one you recommend?
Well, my favorite, I always like Monty Biscuit, who is the mascot of the Montgomery Biscuits. And I don't know if they have a Monty Biscuit shirt, but he's very silly. He's an anthropomorphic biscuit, and his tongue is made of butter. He's very happy. So I would get some Montgomery Biscuits gear. If you're a Simpsons fan, there's the Albuquerque Isotopes, who named themselves after the Simpsons episode where the Isotopes were going to move to Albuquerque, and they have a very 1950s atomic era logo. That's cool.
It is a lot of fun. And actually, walking around with you, many times people have just total strangers have been like, I love that shirt when you're wearing your MILB stuff.
Yes, it's cool. I think it's getting a little too far now, maybe. All team names are weird. And when all team names are weird, like none of them are weird.
Well, it's niching down. You pick the one that speaks to your sense of humor, or you're a Simpsons fan, so you do the Isotopes, or you think the Biscuits are funny, which they are, so you get that, or like the Hops because you're into beer. I think it's more just like that hyper personalization that we see a lot of DTC brands doing now.
Yeah, it's like there's like the Rocket City Trash Pandas, and it's like a raccoon, and it's also like in a garbage can rocket ship.
I will
and
never
all right.
not laugh at referring to a raccoon as a trash panda. I think that's brilliant.
See, to me, I'm just like, all right, we've gone too far. Something's got to be nice.
Well, that's what the official gear is for. All right, we'll wrap it up there, Mr. Rita. Dear listener, would love to hear your thoughts on this episode, so please join our Facebook group. Search the unofficial Shopify Podcast Insiders on Facebook, and come talk to us. Other than that, I hope you stay safe and are having a great summer.
Farewell.